Growing up short, yeah man, I was stunning. But as I elevated, I watched the tractors plummet. Staring at the peak from the bottom of a summit. Climbing up now, bro, one day I'ma run it. No rushing shit though. Collect syllables over that cash flow. Study spitting cans, graduate Tabasco. Spice it up, no smacko, the verbs never flat row. On the stream of the flow, chomping at the bit to go. So assiduous, year-round rippiness. It's the mixed up, twisted, hybrid, swirl the gin and tonic. Came to rock a jock and sound supersonic boom. With imagery and tune. Connect type typhoons, no type tycoons. Go for broke type buffoons. Listen, I speak from the heart, an expression of art. Take a trip in the park, the debonair, silk slick, cloud filled air. Sit and meditate there, life it isn't fair. But with the beat, don't worry, we will get you there.
Nice, cool. You know, like how you have those pauses at your in between the raps sometimes, and then you also end a little bit early. Did you do that on purpose, or is the rap just unfinished?
A little bit of both.
Let's talk about the pauses and if you do want to incorporate them into your final draft about it. So, like, think about it like this. Do you know the John Cage piece, 4 minutes and 33 seconds?
No.
So he didn't really play instruments, and he didn't really know how to write chords and stuff like that. So then you have to ask yourself, well, what was he good at? And that's where the philosophy comes in that he understood music really well. And he understood how to structure his pieces so that everything that he was doing, which in the previous 10,000 years of human history and music had been done on accident, and John Cage made people question the meaning of music by doing those accidents in his own music on purpose. And that makes all the difference, right? Because obviously, in previous pieces of music before him for 10,000 years, there had been silence. There had been silence between all the different movements, all the different sonatas in Beethoven's music. You know, when one movement stops and the next start. That's kind of what 433 proves. Because also, you could think of it as there is no music, or two, that the music in the hall itself is the sound. The sound in the music hall itself is the music, right? You know, someone coughing, someone tapping their feet, people ruffling papers, all of that. And John Cage's point is, look, this is music. And you couldn't, but he had structured 433 from start to finish in such a way that you had to make those conclusions because you saw that the silence was so very purposefully the entire point of his music. You following me so far?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this brings us back then, right, to your music and those long pauses that you had in your own music. So rappers, right, when they're rapping, they always have to constantly be making sense and saying something, right? Right? Yeah. So that is one of the almost unquestionable restrictions on the rhythms you can use in rap. Could you name some points for me in everyday conversation, not rap, when you're just talking to your friend, when it is not awkward for a speaker to take long pauses in their speech? Just give me one idea.
Yeah, like when you want to place emphasis on something or you're telling a story.
Yeah, and when someone can't think of what they want to say, right? What when you're like, oh damn it, what was that word? There, it's not awkward because the tension is still, I'm thinking even though I'm not thinking out loud. 3, maybe like when someone gets interrupted, and I will look over all these things and think of which maybe one of these would fit your songwriting best. Because honestly, like, where does he take all of his breaks?
After every point he makes.
Yeah, after every sentence, right?
Yeah.
And why is it okay for him to take a break there?
For emphasis?
Yeah, because he's not saying anything, right? It's not like he broke himself off in the middle of a sentence. It's like, and you're waiting to hear what he says in an awkward moment. It's like, no, he finishes his idea, so now he can wait. Done exactly what I'm suggesting to you that you should do. He's made the palette of rhythms, the options of rhythms he can choose. He's made it much wider by structuring his verse in this very purposeful way from the very outset. So if you were to restructure kind of what you have there in order to present the pause in a way in which it makes it abundantly clear that you did it on purpose, what would you do?
I'm thinking put the pause at the end. So climbing up, nah, bro. One day I'ma run it, but I'm not rushing shit though.
And then pause.
Collects.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like it's kind of just backwards right now. And I'm not saying that you couldn't rewrite it or you couldn't have actually the pause before you mention the fact that you paused, but right now, as you have it now, not rushing shit should come first. Because you have to mention that you're not rushing shit before you don't rush shit. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. Because if this is the, bro rhymes with though, right?
Yeah.
So, and in between it, we get an unrhymed line, right? So this is the rhyme scheme we have so far then. It's ABA, right? So ABA, and we have one more line to complete the bar, right? And so it's ABA question mark. Well, what's the most obvious way to complete that scheme? Obvious thing would be to have run it, rhyme with whatever. This is what we know. This is what we know about the fourth line. One, it'll end on an O rhyme sound, right? You see that?
Yeah.
Two, it'll be half a bar. Three, it'll come after the pause. Four, it should complete the thought. Where is that? Not rushing shit though. It should, here, I'll say compliment because it doesn't have to finish the thought. Okay? So knowing that whatever rhyme we come up with has to be here, I'm thinking we should end with a hashtag punchline because it'll be 1, easy to rhyme, 2, easy to fit inside the very small amount of musical space we have to utilize, 3, it'll be clever. Alright, so you see how that's why I think we should use a hashtag punchline to end it?
Yeah, it uses the pause too.
Yeah,
nice.
exactly, right? So, yeah, like that pause is almost like the hashtag. So, I don't know, what do you think? Honestly, in an ideal world, we would have a single word here, 1 syllable or 2 syllable, that you could drop that would be a pun on rushing shit, though. Climbing up, nah, bro, one day I'm gonna run it, not rushing shit, though. And then, like, a one or 2 syllable word that is a play on rushing shit, though. And honestly, like, here, the thing you can change around is not rushing shit, though. So you're now simultaneously... Before we had taken it for granted that the third line would always remain the same, but we only did that so we could figure out what we need in the fourth line. And now that we know what we need in the fourth line, the third line, rushing shit, though, can be changed around. And so now, okay, so now the play isn't on Russian, right? The play is on gunnin', which obviously brings up guns. So now what I'm looking for is, and you said you want it to be a 2-syllable rhyme, right? Off it, though?
Yeah. Something, actually, like, Gitmo works because that's like, you know, Guantanamo Bay. It's also
Oh,
Gitmo.
yeah. See, man, here we go. All right, awesome, perfect. All right, good. All right, Gitmo, cool. Yeah, not gunning it, though. Yeah, my thing, though, is I don't see... Like, I know what Gitmo is, and I know what gunning it, though, is, but I don't see how gunning it, though, and Gitmo are related. So I think we have to slightly change... Now we have to go back and change the third line, now that we have our fourth line.
If it was, like, climbing up, nah, bro, one day I'm gonna run it, not gunning it, though. Minds Unchained, free, Gitmo. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded good to me, so I think it'll work. Now it's kind of just, we're proving it.
Okay. Yeah, man, stunning. As I elevated, I watched the tractors plummet, staring at the peak from the bottom of the summit. Climbing up, nah, bro, one day I'ma run it. No rushing shit, though. Minds unchained, free, Gitmo.
Perfect. Boom. Done. You that you should really, honestly just go back and read our text conversation, bro. Because you see how there was no inspiration here. There was no guesswork. Like, the muse of music did not come down and suddenly you and I were struck with some amazing insight into how rap gets written. It was just all really logical and all really built up from us starting by talking about how people use pauses in everyday conversations, even the one like you and I are having now. And then, let's see, just a quick summary. I identified our rhyme scheme. We floated possible rhyme schemes. We decided on A, B, A temporarily because you thought that's what would go with the rap that came afterwards. And then we started out, that gave us enough information to know we had the 3 lines, right? We had the rhyme scheme. And so that gave us a lot of ideas for how our 4th line should look. It should end on an O sound. It'll be half a bar. It'll come after the pause. And it should complement the thought, not Russian shit, though. And we hit every one of those. In the line you wrote with Gitmo and mine Unchained Freed, we hit every one of those points, right? Because Gitmo lasts half a bar, it came after the pause, it complements the thought, not Russian shit though, even though we slightly changed that meaning, and it ended on an O rhyme sound. Well, it didn't, but it ended on the rhyme sound we wanted, because eventually we went back to A, B. And we should end it, and then I told you we thought about how we should end it, and we decided on a hashtag punchline, because they're easy to rhyme, they're easy to fit inside the very small amount of musical space we had, because we only had half a bar, and it'll be clever, and people would like it. So then we moved to that. We talked about how it could be with Russian shit. I went through some synonyms with you. Those synonyms maybe helped you come up with mine Unchained Freed Gitmo, and then you wrote the rap.